Hi, welcome to Change. I'm Bonnie Carlin with the Senior Cafe at the Barn in Schaumburg, and I'm happy to be with you today. Today we're going to be talking about an American custom, one of our great holidays, Thanksgiving Day. And it's a wonderful time of year. It leads off the holiday season. But before we actually get into it, I would like our panel to introduce themselves.
My name is Pat Barch, and I'm historian for the village of Hoffman Estates, but also I'm a member of the Schaumburg Township Historical Society.
I'm Kathy Algrim, and I'm with Algrim & Sons Funeral and Cremation Services, as well as with the Rotary Club of Schaumburg and Hoffman Estates.
Hi, I'm Donna Vesna, and I'm a frequent guest at the Schaumburg Cafe Barn with the seniors.
Well, welcome you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. To get started, does anybody know how Thanksgiving started?
Well, we can go back to the Pilgrims and the Indians.
And what did they do on that day?
How they came together and mixed the cultures, basically, and had dinner together.
Wasn't it to celebrate the harvest?
Yes.
Yes, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the Indians helped the settlers learn how to plant certain foods and introduce them to certain things that grow, you know, in the new land. So it was sort of where both sat down and you know, gave thanks for everything that they had, you know, their harvests or whatever.
And that's what I understood also. And I guess it was such a difficult winter that a lot of the first pilgrims died.
That's true.
And there was no food, so because of the Indians' help, they were able to survive then, and they had enough food for that next winter.
It was great. As far as the meaning behind Thanksgiving, what is your personal interpretation of the meaning?
You know, Thanksgiving was always a family day. We all looked forward to it. It was one of those great days where you didn't have to bring a present. It was just fun to get together with the family. Our family wasn't very large, so we would see our cousins maybe just a few times a year. We didn't really get to see them that often. So we just enjoyed seeing one another and just spending the day with good food.
I think in this time when everybody's so busy, I think that it's just a great day just to sit back and reflect and talk and really focus on family and what's important to us. And I think that we don't always have time to do that, and it's a great day to be able to take to that time.
Donna, how about you?
Yeah, that's how we reflect too. The family comes together. We like to also, you know, when my nieces and nephews were going to college, if somebody didn't have someplace, you know, couldn't go home during college, it was an awesome time to bring them in and celebrate and be thankful for their friendship and have them in return reflect their thanks back. So it's just a time of coming together.
True.
Yeah.
So, Pat, what foods do you associate with Thanksgiving?
Well, in my family, it was always a turkey. We always had a turkey. And I believe, at least when I was young, the turkey was always a fresh turkey. We didn't have to thaw it for 4 or 5 days before you know, it was ready to prepare. And now in my family, it is turkey. Those, you know, the traditional turkey and pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes and gravy. We always had creamed onions. Always made creamed onions. And that was kind of traditional in the family. Grandma would make those. And the hardest thing as I was growing older and then I was in charge of the dinner was to prepare those onions when you would peel maybe 3 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And then cry over them. And over the years I learned how to do it, soaking them in cold water and changing that water several times, and they were delicious. They were delicious.
Okay, how about you, Kathy?
We pretty much do the same thing. We do the turkey and the sweet potatoes and the mashed potatoes and cranberry and stuffing and pumpkin pie. So we do all the traditional green beans.
Yeah, Donna?
The same, the turkey, the stuffing, sweet potato pie, that's a yummy thing. And of course, you've got to have the whipped cream on the pumpkin pie.
Of course.
Real whipped cream.
Real, absolute
everything-
real. Whipping it
everything
up
has
with
to
the
be
whipper,
real.
yeah. And my sister-in-law makes a great ice cream pumpkin pie.
Oh, really?
And it's been harder and harder for her to find the pumpkin ice cream to make that, but she finds it, and that's always a treat. It's a once-a-year treat. So,
Yeah, that's
very,
great.
very
Good one.
yeah.
If you've set the perfect Thanksgiving table, what else would be on it besides the food?
I like a beautiful centerpiece. Traditionally, maybe flowers, but also, you know, the symbol of the cornucopia.
Okay.
With all the vegetables and fruits and things to incorporate in the meal. But I think a table setting with napkins, and I like to bring my china out when I host Thanksgiving, and bring all the good glasses out and everything. But that centerpiece just has to be there.
Oh, yes. Time for elegance, right?
Yes, yes.
Does anybody else have anything
I
special?
like lots of candles. I'm a big candle
very
person, so I
good.
like lots of candles.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about my dining room table, and it wasn't that large.
Uh-huh.
And I think, like Donna, it was the china, the beautiful china. I have dishes from my grandmother. They came from Austria.
Yes.
And also the wine glasses were also hers. And so, you know, it was like Grandma was there. And so it was the china and the table settings. And then we would put out the serving pieces. I have a beautiful turkey platter, and that would be the centerpiece.
Yes.
And then when it came time to serve, then we would all take those serving pieces into the kitchen and fill them. But no flowers
The
on
one
the table.
thing we have to have on our table is many, many years ago, when I was doing ceramics, when they had ceramic stores, I made a ceramic turkey, and it's actually a gravy boat. And it's not Thanksgiving until that gravy boat is on the table full.
Well, that's a great tradition.
It's a great tradition.
And how long does it take you, Pat, to prepare the meal?
Well, those creamed onions have to start out the night before. Because you would peel them, and the secret of getting the strong flavor out was putting them in water. And so I would also start out with my potatoes the night before also. I would peel those and put them in cold water, which makes them very fluffy and very white. You can rinse them several times, and so that took a while. And so it would start out in the evening, and then in the morning, oh my goodness, if we had a large turkey, I think I was up by 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I would get the stuffing prepared, so it meant getting the celery and cooking up the giblets for not only the gravy, but then we would put some of that into the dressing. I would think, well, probably from 7 o'clock the night before, preparing several of the dishes, and then on Thanksgiving morning, it was getting that turkey prepared and making the stuffing.
Let's not forget the 3 and 4 days ahead of time it takes to thaw that frozen turkey out.
Yeah, we don't have the fresh turkey anymore.
Unfortunately, it's hard to find, yes.
That's true.
So it can start as early as 3 days just to get that turkey prepared. And then, you know, like, I love the tip about the potatoes. I have to try that.
I've never tried
Now,
that
do
either.
you leave the potatoes out?
Yes,
With the
sit
cold
on
water?
They sit on the stove with a lid on them. And then in the morning, the first thing is to drain that water and put fresh cold water. And then just before you're ready to cook them, you drain that water and put cold water in again. So it's the three, and the starch is gone.
Absolutely.
They're never pasty. They're fluffy and they're white.
See, now we'll all have fluffy potatoes
You're
because
getting
of
me
you.
very hungry.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have to go to break right now. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. Welcome back to Change. We're talking about American tradition and Thanksgiving Day. But now we're going to go back in time to when we were young and we sat at the Thanksgiving table. Describe your typical holiday when you were young, Pat.
Well, I was the only girl in my family, so I was expected to help my mother. And I think that's where I picked up all my cooking tips. So it was my job to get up with her, and one of the jobs was chopping up the celery. And then my mother had an old grinder that she put on the table. You know, you'd crank it, and you would fasten it to the table. And so she would cook. She would cook the giblets, the liver, the heart from the turkey, and then she also had pork sausage, and she would put that through the grinder, and then we would saute the celery and the onions. So I would help with that, and I remember learning how to grind the celery and the onions, and then the juice would come dripping out, so we'd have to put a bowl under there. And then I was the one who always set the table. And as a young girl, learning where the forks went, you know, you had the forks over here and your knife and your spoon. And so that was a lesson in the proper way to set a table.
Absolutely.
And it was busy with the last minute dusting and getting the house ready for the company. And all of that. I had two brothers. I'm not sure what they did. I don't think they did a whole lot.
No, they ate, didn't they?
Yes, they had to complete.
They ate the food. They ate the food. And I know one thing that we did do, and my father would get so angry with us, there was always a little bowl of black olives, the pitted ones, and we would put one on each finger and eat them.
Yeah, so there weren't any
And there were none
in the
left for
bowl.
dinner.
Well, I don't know, that's not something that goes way, way back. My niece and I do that now.
So, Kathy, how about you?
I grew up in a very European home. I'm the first generation in this, so we always went with my father's side. And they're from Austria. And so we had a very European, we did do the turkey and the mashed potatoes, but we had like the sour cream cucumbers salad.
Oh, I love
so
those.
That was something that we always had. And we just had, my grandmother she insisted on doing everything herself. So we really didn't, as far as helping, other than probably create a lot of turmoil because all the cousins were running around. Didn't really do much in aid, helping my grandmother, but we always had lots of food and lots of family, so it was fun.
Great. How about you, Donna?
My Polish family, God bless us all, cooked more food than we can imagine, even eating, but my mom did most of the cooking. And like Pat, I was the only girl. I have 3 brothers. I was in charge of cleaning the house the day before, setting the table. I guess that's where my love for setting the table and putting out the china comes from. I loved to set a table, and that's always been my pride at any holiday or a birthday party or anything. But my mom did the cooking from start to finish, and I don't remember doing that much. Cooking with her, I remember watching her a lot, and the sour cream and cucumbers, I still haven't mastered that, so I still have to work with my mom on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as special traditions back then, I know with my family, my mother always invited somebody who didn't have a place to go for Thanksgiving. That was a very important thing at our table. And sometimes there were people who had some type of physical problem or whatever, and really didn't have the resources or the family to, join. I know of some people who invite soldiers or sailors over to partake with them. Donna, did you have any special traditions that you did during that holiday? Or?
Oh, I'm thinking back, and not really. It was just was one of the times of the year that we got to see my grandfather. Usually for the major holidays is the only time we saw him. So that was special to bring him in. And of course, my grandmother on my father's side, and just my brothers and cousins and everything all together was wonderful.
Did you have any special
We didn't.
traditions? Or?
No, I know that since I've been married with my in-laws, they've had guys from the naval base have come to visit, and being part of Rotary, we've had exchange students, and we've had them spend. They come here for the year, so they always like to spend, the holidays with one of the families so that they can see how we celebrate.
Oh, that's great. How many people were at your table? Were they big Thanksgiving celebrations or small, or how did that go?
We didn't have a lot of people at our table because the family was small. My father had one brother, and I had my aunt and uncle had one son. My mother had one sister, and they had two girls, but they lived in Cincinnati.
Oh.
So my grandparents, both my mother's parents and my father's parents would come. So, and it was a little house, and that's why there was never much room on that table for a centerpiece. And we never invited others. It was always the family. And it was just very, cozy, and the men would enjoy that turkey and dinner, and the boys, and they would go sit down in the living room, and then we'd have to do the dishes.
Was there football then?
I don't recall.
There has to be football.
Now there is.
Now there is, you're
Now
right.
there is, but then I'm just trying to think. No, we did not have television.
No.
So I'm dating myself, but I grew up during the Second World War, and my grandmother had the first television in our family, and I don't think that was. I'm trying to think the year, but no football, no football. Some naps.
Yes.
After all this good stuff, after all the big
That's
food,
right.
all the food.
That's right. You can't help but take a nap after that. Did your parents do all the work, or did the guests help with the cleanup?
Well, my mom did all the cooking, and the kids did the cleanup.
Right. It's
Okay.
the same with us
Yeah,
too.
we did the dishes.
Did you allow your guests not to, participate in that, or you just did it yourself?
Yeah, we just did it ourselves.
Yeah.
We all kind of, brought everything into the kitchen, and Mom told us where all the leftovers went, and then we fought over who washed and who dried the dishes.
Yes.
And you, Kathy,
And that's the
too,
same
huh?
as a child. We just helped clean up. We didn't really do much, as far as the preparation or the setting of the table. But
Yeah.
we all kind of pitched in.
Well, that was great. So we were talking about our inherited past with the holiday, but we have to take a break right now, so we'll be right back in a moment. Welcome back to Change. We were talking about Thanksgiving Day, how it got started, and then our personal experiences as children at the Thanksgiving Day table. And now we're going to compare it with the way things are today with Thanksgiving. For all of you, how do your children celebrate the holiday?
Well, my children will come to my house. I do have a son and daughter-in-law and a little grandson in Arizona, and they will have Thanksgiving with friends there.
Ah,
They will
okay.
have their friends. But I'm still cooking.
Oh, bless you.
My son and my children that are here, they're the ones that are coming to my house.
Ah,
I don't really want
okay.
them to cook Thanksgiving dinner.
Uh-huh.
I still love-
Very
I still love
good.
to
You
do
like
it.
to do that.
I really enjoy doing it. It gets easier over the years. It's really not difficult. Whereas the young wives seem to have a hard time with Thanksgiving. And I keep telling them it's easy.
Yeah, it can be difficult. My brother and I switch off since my father passed. So we'll switch off Christmas and Thanksgiving. He'll have one, I'll have the other. Easter gets thrown in there too. He likes Thanksgiving though, so he likes to make it because he always makes 2 turkeys.
Oh my.
And really big ones because they love to eat a lot of turkey
And
afterwards.
they like
Lots of
leftovers,
They
right?
like the leftovers. So we get together at my brother's house usually, and I like to cook Thanksgiving too. So my mother lives with my husband and I and my daughter, I like to make our own little Thanksgiving dinner for the 4 of us. So I usually do it either Saturday or Sunday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So it also gives me a chance for my cooking skills.
My children are very young, so well, not they're. My oldest is 14, but we like to sit and watch the parade, and so it's kind of fun. We
how
get up early
nice.
and we make hot chocolate and turn on the parade. We've gone a couple times to the parade, but because of all the people there, it's just a lot easier just to watch it at home. So that's kind of the highlight in our little tradition that we've created.
I think getting my daughter up early to watch a parade would not happen. She's 19 and she likes her sleep.
If you happen to be alone for the holiday, and there are a lot of people who live alone now, what would you do to make it special?
That's a really tough question.
It is, because there's a lot of people out there. Now, I do live alone personally, and what I do is I'll go to one of the places in town, like the Schaumburg Park District. They have a Thanksgiving Day. It's not on Thanksgiving, but you get all the trimmings and everything like that. I do have children that live in town who inform me that they're vegetarian now. So I don't think I'm going to get a turkey out of them.
Tofu turkey,
But
maybe.
I respect their, wishes, and I don't want to, create any problems for them. So that's basically the way I handle it. But I think, for other people who are alone for the holiday, that there are ways you can be with people, and you can, even if you go to, say, a soup kitchen and you help.
And you help. That's a lot, right? There's a lot of people looking
it'll probably
for help.
make you feel pretty good that, you did something and you were with people.
Yeah, it makes me think, what would I do? And I don't know what I would do, but I should think about it more because, there are people that I meet that don't have someplace to go.
Yes.
And what would I suggest for them?
Right. Now, even the barn, that serves meals, we have a Thanksgiving lunch that people could go to. If they're interested, they could call. We'll give the number at the end of the segment. But that's another, place you could go to get a meal if not exactly on that day, but you'll feel like you're participating in the holiday in that way. So. Are there any other ways that we can help people who are less fortunate during this holiday?
I think, like you said, the soup kitchens are always a way, and making sure that the food pantries are stocked.
Exactly,
So that,
exactly.
when people have, want to have a little bit of something, that they have a resource to go to.
Some of the local churches, too, will have a Thanksgiving meal for the people in their communities that really have no family to go to. And I know I was going to mention some of the farmers that I know who used to live here on the farms before we all moved in here. And one farmer in particular, he is in his 90s now, and we were talking about the holidays and about Thanksgiving in particular. And he is alone. His wife passed away a number of years ago, but he does go by his son. And he said, sometimes it's such a bother. But when you're, in your middle 90s, just getting dressed and going out. And then he said half of the food he wasn't able to eat anymore. It was just, he needed a simpler diet. But going to the church, he said they do have, I think it's just before, the weekend before, they have a special Thanksgiving supper.
And,
Again, just making sure that your local food pantry, be it your own church or a church within your community, is stocked, and do what you can to help get it stocked.
And I'm sure that your group,
Right,
that
Rotary
you-
does what we do is we do
Yes.
baskets.
Yes.
And so we have, we make a whole bunch of baskets, and then we distribute those baskets. As a Rotary Club, we do that. And then also too, I work with the Boy Scouts, and so as the Boy Scouts, we have where we assist, and we work with actually Holy Family, and they distribute food for a lot of families. So that is something that we do.
And I know the library has traditionally collected food for fines during the holiday season.
I didn't know
So
that.
yes, instead of bringing 10 cents, if you have a book that's late, you can bring a can of peas or a can of corn,
That's great.
some non-perishable foods.
Wow,
And
that's
then
really
that
nice.
continues through New Year's. And I know we had food for fines, I believe, this spring, because the
Wow.
food pantry was so low.
Yes, I hear that the food pantries are low, and it's a
So
shame.
that's really, it's
That is a shame.
amazing. The food, when I come into work and I see all the bins, great big canvas bins just filled with food. And then that goes to the Schaumburg Township food pantry.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. What would you tell your grandchildren about Thanksgiving?
Well, it's always fun to tell them about how it used to be. You know, when I told you what I did as a little girl, and you know, the customs, the things that we did. My mother was one who canned food, so we could always find things downstairs in the cupboards. And one of the things that I tell them is, you want to be able to have some traditions. Do something the same every meal. And when my mother canned, she made this spiced pumpkin, which was always on the table for Thanksgiving. And they may not like my creamed onions, but they need to come up with something that's traditional, like
Okay.
that they, you know, that they need to have traditions, and they need to always bring their families around them.
Great. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today about Thanksgiving. And I'd like to invite anyone in the listening audience that would like to come to the barn, the senior barn, for lunch, to call Karen at 847-524-7496. We do have a Thanksgiving Day lunch. I'm not too sure if it's November 20th or so, but you could call ahead and let her know that you'd be interested in coming. And we hope to see you soon. So you take care and goodbye.